What's up guys, Andre here, and today I wanted to take a look at Stripe Elements and how to collect payments using Laravel. Stripe Elements is version 3 of Stripe's API and is quite different from previous versions. If you're not familiar with how Stripe works, generally it's a two-step process. Step 1 is to send Stripe your user's credit card information using their JavaScript API. They then return a token to you. Step 2 is sending that token to your server-side code and processing payment from there. We're going to be mostly focusing on step 1, the collecting of your user's credit card information, and the token generation process. Now, in previous versions, you were in charge of the formatting and error validation, which can get a bit tricky if you take into account all the different edge cases. With this new version 3, which they call Stripe Elements, they have a set of customizable pre-built components which handles formatting and validation for you. It's served up in an iframe on Stripe servers, making it more secure and leading to a more seamless experience for your users. Let's take a typical payment form and go through the process of using Stripe's API. So here I have just a typical form. It's just using Bootstrap, and I have a bunch of fields here. You may not need all of these fields depending on your use case, and I understand that these should be drop downs, but I was too lazy. Also, the expiry should be 2 fields, but you get the idea. So let's go ahead and start. So the first step is just to import the Stripe API, and just put it here. I haven't read anywhere that it has to be in the head, but in all the examples I see they are in the head, so let's put it in the head. Here is the documentation page, which you should definitely give a read. And here's an example here. Let's just grab this example and make use of it. Let's just make a new form group here and paste that code in. Just re-indent here. Okay. And let's go back. That's all we need for the HTML and for the CSS. Let's grab all of this and let's just put it in our head for now. Have some styles here. Just paste it in here. Okay, and let's grab some JavaScript. Let's grab all the lines here and let's paste that in. Let's just wrap it in an invoking function. This is actually my publishable key, but let's go ahead and put that in our environment file. If you go to config services, I believe, you'll see that there's a section here for Stripe, and it wants us to define Stripe key and Stripe secret, so let's go ahead and do that in our environment file. So Stripe key and Stripe secret, Stripe. And put your secret in here as well. Obviously I'm not going to show you that, so you can grab it once you have an account on Stripe, and you can just go to API and grab it from here. We can now replace this with config services.stripe.key. You don't have to do that, but I like to keep everything nice and tidy in my environment file. And if we go back to our payment form and refresh, if we did this right, you'll see a new field here. And it's looking quite good. And this is, like I said earlier, this is actually an iframe, and it's housed on Stripe servers, so it's more secure. But our next step is to modify this input field so it looks like more of a form here. So obviously this is going to vary depending on how your form looks, but in our case we have some CSS up here that we can modify, and I've already done my research, so I know what to change here. to make it look like our bootstrap form. So that's one thing. Change the box shadow. And I think that's it. Yeah, so that looks pretty close to our form. So I'm pretty happy with that. Actually, there are a few more things that are not controllable within the CSS, but within the JavaScript. So down here. And the only thing I want to change here is the font. We're using Railway. And that should look pretty close. There you go. It looks like it's a form on our own server, but it's actually on Stripe servers, and it already has built-in formatting. You see there's a little space between every 4 numbers, and it also has, if I put like a date that's in the past, it has validation already. So all that's done for you out of the box, and it just makes it so much easier than what we had previously. Let's just add one more CSS thing here. Let's just add the invalid color. We're just copying whatever came in here. Let's see if it's red now for the errors. There you go, it's red. Awesome. If you want separate components for each of these credit card fields, you can do that as well. Like for example, if you want one for the card number, one for the expiry, one for the CVC. If you look at the reference here, you'll see that there are types for that as well. So card is the one we have that incorporates all those things into one. But you can also separate them if you like by card number, expiry, and CVC. If you go into the quick start here, there's actually a nice page of examples, if I can find it right here, which has some really nice examples of what you can do with your custom payment form. And at first I thought that you were bound to what they had, but in my experience it's actually pretty customizable, and you can make it look pretty seamless, and your users won't even notice. So if you see here, we actually have 2 fields for postal code or zip code. You can actually remove that if you like. You see one of the options when you create the card element is to hide the postal code. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go back to our JavaScript. And right here, let's just put this on its own line. And we can do hide postal code true. Let's also get rid of this stuff. We don't need this anymore. Since we have our own card element coming from Stripe, we'll just comment it out. And let's see how that looks. Awesome. Yeah, so you can see that the postal code is no longer there because we already have it here. Cool. Let's also quickly add a label so it's more consistent with everything else. Should just put a label right here. Okay. So if you look at our JavaScript code where our form gets submitted, it actually calls a Stripe token handler method. And the code that we copied earlier actually doesn't have that included. It's in a different part of the documentation. It's right here. So let's grab that and put it right here. So if all the validation passes, the result comes back with a token, and we're passing it through this method. And all this method does is it makes a new hidden element with that token, which we can use to submit to our server. So let's just, as an example, let me just alert the token.id, and we'll just comment this out just to make sure everything's working. Let's go back to our code. So this 42 number is a valid test number, credit card. Let's put a valid date in the future, and we can put anything in here. And if this works, we should get a token ID alerted to us. and that didn't work. We also have to put this ID on our form, so let's go ahead and do that. So let's put an action here. Method equals post and ID equals payment form. Okay, that should work now. Let's refresh. Okay, 4242. 20. Okay, and there you go. There's our token, so we know that that's working. Cool. Let's also confirm that that hidden field was appended to our form. So the form here, there it is right there. And you can see our Stripe token and the token right there. So this will get passed into our server, which is our next step. So let's put an action on our form here. Let's call it /checkout. So it'll be a post to the checkout endpoint. So it would be /checkout and make sure it's post. Okay. Also, we're going to take in the request. Okay, let's import that. Yep. And let's just die and dump request all. And let's see if that works. Oh, we forgot to uncomment the JavaScript. Okay. I'm gonna do it again. Okay. Oh, we forgot the CSRF field. Yeah, just do CSRF. And third time is a charm. Okay. There you go. We get our request here, and the next step is to pull in a package for Laravel, and we'll charge a payment. The library I like to use to handle payments on the server is called Stripe Laravel by Cartalist. If you're doing subscriptions, you should use Laravel Cashier, but in our case we're not doing subscriptions, so we'll use this package here. So the first step is to install it using Composer. Okay, that's done. And make sure, again, I said this earlier, but make sure you have your Stripe secret set up in your environment file. Now here's the documentation. It's very well documented, and it's pretty much just Stripe's PHP API ported to Laravel. And I'm going to paste a code snippet I have here. Actually, we have to put it in a try-catch block. So let's import the Stripe library here. It is that one. And here's the method you use to charge a payment on the server side. So the amount I am just hard coding here. Let's make it 20 bucks. Currency is Canadian dollars because I'm in Canada. The source is the token that we generated on our front end, and it's being passed to our back end here. Make sure you have this. The description, again, I'm just hard coding it here. The receipt email is, there's an option in Stripe that allows you to send receipts directly from Stripe if you give them an email address. So that's here. Metadata is any other information that you want to store on the server that there's no place for in Stripe. And yeah, so a lot of this is, again, it's being hard coded, so make sure you pass in the correct information from your own application here. I'm also not doing validation, but you should definitely do validation here. Validation. And right here, if everything goes well, is where it will be successful. So when it's successful, we're just returning back with a success message saying, thank you, your payment has been accepted. And there's actually a few exceptions we have to catch here, which we'll do later. So let's just see if this works. Let's go back to our form. Let's refresh this. And just do that. 42, 42, 42, 42, 42, 42, 04, 20, and submit payment. And there you go. Thank you, your payment has been accepted. And if we go into our Stripe backend and go to payments, there it is right there, $20. And we can drill down and see, use the metadata we passed in, description we passed in, and expiry, the card number, the last 4 digits. If you see here, there's no name provided, it says. And in our PHP API, there's actually no setting for name. But that's because we have to actually pass it in through our front end when we're creating our token. So let's go ahead and do that. So right here in our JavaScript, right before we create the token, we can actually pass in a few more options here. So if we just paste that code in, and the name is an option is an object that has a name, and it's just getting it from our form over there, and we can pass in the options here like this, options. Let me show you the documentation for that. So you can see here it says name is recommended and also the address is recommended, so make sure you pass that in as well. So let's just make sure that this works. Just refresh it again, and let's just go ahead and put another payment through. And this time let's pass in the name. Submit. Okay. Let's go back here, payments. Might take a second, there it is. And as you can see now, the name is passed through, so there you go. Note that you should always also check for errors after the card is processed on the server. For example, an expired card is not going to be caught on the front end validation here, so make sure you catch the exceptions there. So here are all the exceptions that are thrown if there's an error. And the one that we're interested in is the card error exception. So let's go ahead and do that. So back to our code here. Obviously this should be in a controller. I'm just doing it in the routes file to show you. So the card error exception, let's import that. Okay, there it is. So if we catch that, if there's an error with the card, then we can return back with the error and show it to the user. Now there's actually a whole bunch of Stripe cards that have an error, so let's go ahead and test this one, which is charges declined with an expired card code, which is a common case for an error. So let's go ahead and did I save my code? Yep. Let's go back to our app. Let's refresh this. And let's paste that in. 420. Okay, submit. And there you go. There's an error message there. And if we go into our backend again, you'll see that there's a failed charge right there. Awesome. One more thing that you might want to do is, if it's successful, you might want to save this info to your database. You also might want to do this if it fails as well. So somewhere here. So one more thing I wasn't originally going to do, but I decided I'll do it anyways, is to extract all the vanilla JavaScript into a Vue component, since a lot of Laravel developers use Vue anyways. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll try to make it quick. So yeah, the first thing we'll do is we'll duplicate this Vue, and we'll make one for Vue called checkout Vue. And now we'll npm install. While that's going, we can go to our app.js. Let's make a new one called, actually, let's just use this one and call it card element. And we'll call it card element.view. Okay. Let's also, let's call ID equals app, because we need a root namespace. Let's also add a new route here. Checkout view, and let's call it /view. All right, return our watcher. All right, save it, and there's an error. Oh, I didn't make a card element view, so JavaScript components, let's rename this one to card element. There you go. Okay. Card element, and let's put that in here somewhere. Let's just copy this and paste it in here. And we can just do card element. Oh no, let's keep the label. And we'll do card element. Okay, that should take care of all the setup. Why doesn't it show? Oh yeah, I don't think I added the app.js. I did not. Let's add it. Script src equals, oh, that's the wrong page. My bad. View. Oh, sorry. Okay, they should do it. There you go. And the card element's right there. Okay. So the library I'm going to use is called Vue Stripe Elements. Let's get it. Go ahead and install that. All right. And it says build a Vue component using the card element. So let's do that. We don't need this. Let's just grab the card component here. And it ends there. Let's grab the button as well. And let's go back to our component. Okay. Okay, see if that works. It does. Just see how that looks. Okay. What's the next step? It says to add all this stuff here. Okay, I don't think we need this line, so we just need this one. Okay. And let's grab the data. Okay. Let's grab the components. Okay. Let's grab the methods. Okay. Okay. See how that looks. There you go. So this is our old one and this is our new one. Let's do some cleanup here. We don't need this one. Let's just grab this, put it underneath here. Okay, and then we can delete this. So this will disappear. Okay. Let's also put in our key here. Okay. Actually, let's just put this in the component itself. Right underneath the card. Okay. And see if that works. Okay. So we have this. Okay, the error messages are not showing up. Why not? Okay, that's because we actually have to port all our JavaScript over to Vue. So let's go ahead and do that. So for our Stripe options, let's just grab whatever we have in here. I already have it copied, so let's go ahead and do that. Just paste it right underneath here. Just take that comment out. There you go. Okay. And I did that right. The error should show up now. Okay, at least turning red, but still not showing the error message. That's because we have to port over the error code. So right here, this code we have to port over the Vue. So let's go ahead and grab that. And this was bound to the change event, so let's go ahead and do that for the card element. There's actually one here already, but I want to call a method instead. Let's call change. Let's make a method called change. And we'll pass in the event. And we'll define it down here after pay. That doesn't look aligned to me. Okay, methods, change. And we'll take in the event. Let's paste in the code here. So all this is saying is if there was an error, display it in that error message. And if not, then do nothing. So in our card errors over here, let's set the vtext equals error message. And let's make sure we have that in our data. Do we? We don't. So let's make an error message here. And let's set it to nothing initially. So all we have to do is just set that appropriately. So this dot error message, get event dot error dot message, else this dot error message gets nothing. Okay. Now the error should show up. Let's do that. There you go. There's the error right there. Okay. all this code can actually be replaced by one line. We just do this using a ternary expression. And let's double check if that works. Okay, it does. Awesome. So this Vue component actually has two components within it. It has the card component here, and it also has the submit button. Furthermore, the submit button is tied to the click event rather than the submit event, which is the proper way to do it. So let's go ahead and extract another Vue component, which is the entire form. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So we don't need this anymore. Let's make a new component called, let's call it payment form. View, and just grab everything from here. Okay, go to app.js, let's go payment form, and let's call it payment form. Okay. All right. So let's grab everything from here, starting from the form. Where's the form? Here. All the way down to here. Let's put that in our payment form for the template. Let's fix that. Okay. It's not going to work because of this stuff. So let's fix that. Let's just /checkout. CSRF field we will fix in a second. Let's just delete that for now. Everything else here is fine. We don't need this. That's good. And here, instead of listening for a click event on the submit button, we'll listen for a submit event on the form itself. And in Vue, if you want to prevent the default, you do submit.prevent. And the method I want to call, we'll name it pay. Okay. We don't need the card. Don't need that. Don't need any of this. We need a CSRF. We just copy and paste it here. So make sure you have your CSRF token defined in your blade view. So let's go ahead and add that. So right here, up here, somewhere in the head, let's put it right here. Make sure we have our CSRF token. We don't need the change event. That's specific to the other component. We do need our pay. Let's add our CSRF field in our template. And just do it right here somewhere. Okay. So now in our checkout view page, let's replace this whole form with our payment form Vue component. Okay. Let's refresh this page. Okay, it looks good. And let's do some cleanup here. We don't need any of this anymore. So we just delete that. And now, refresh. Okay. If we did this correctly, we should be getting our token back. It should be logged here. There it is. Okay, cool. So now all we have to do is the equivalent of this in our original JavaScript file, which is append a hidden element to the form that we're about to submit and then submit it. So let's copy this code. Let's go back to our payment form, and in our pay method here, let's add it in there. I'm going to call it result instead of data. And we need multiple lines here, so let's go ahead and do that. Okay. So let's paste that in. And we don't need this because we can refer to the form itself using Vue. Okay. This is still fine, this is still fine, this is fine. This is going to be result.token.id. And to get the form, you just have to do this dot $L, that refers to the form, append child hidden input, and same for down here. This dot L dot submit, and if you did that correctly, that should compile, and yeah, that should work now using the Vue specific one. Oh yeah, it's not going to pass in the name. Let's fix that quickly. So when we call create token, we have to pass in options as well. So options, let's just grab that var option, this right here. And we can just do that. You probably want to do this the Vue way, so instead of doing document.getElementById, we'll just define it in our data here and name it name on card, and initially it'll be empty, and in our name on card we'll just set the model here, b model equals name on card. That should do it. So let's do a final test here. See if the name gets passed through and see if it goes to our backend. View and 14. Okay, and see if this works. There you go, it worked. Check the dashboard, see if the name came through. There it is, and there it is, View. Awesome. There you have it, guys. We've managed to use Stripe elements and build out a robust payment form which is both secure and user-friendly. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I hope you guys can use it in your applications. Don't forget to hit that like button, leave a comment below, and subscribe if you haven't already done so. See you guys in the next one. Okay, thanks, bye!